Well, welcome into this week's edition of Michiana Unsolved. We are talking about the disappearance of Sargent Micek. It happened 35 years ago. And I want to welcome in his sister, Marilyn. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you are super busy. You're juggling a lot of things, but it means the world for you to join us. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to, talk about Sarge's case and just keep his name out there.
Yeah, we have to. I saw you doing the Michiana Crime Stoppers video years ago with your mom. And so it really is a pleasure to sit down with you and be able to talk to you one on one, because this is now, I think, the third time that I've been involved in this case. One, when I was working at the police department, working with Lieutenant Miller, and then, of course, now with this segment, Michiana Unsolved. So it's really nice to kind of be able to continue talking about this case and now be able to expand it by having you join me. So first things first, we're seeing some video of your brother. What goes through your mind when you see these photos of him?
It makes me happy because he was always just so fun loving and would always be cracking you up, just doing whatever he could to just make you laugh and just yeah.
Yeah. So tell
That's
me,
always what I think about.
I feel like you can feel that from his photos, especially when he has that almost like trucker hat on and he's like shirtless,
Yes.
right? Almost looking like he's going boating. Before we
Yeah.
dive into the case, your brother was 22 years old when he went missing in South Bend. But prior to that, tell me a little bit about who he was as a person. What do you remember of him?
Um, I feel like he was always, looking out for his sisters. I'm older than him, but he has two younger sisters. So, he was just always looking out for them and playing with them and, things like that. And of course, there were five of us. So a little arguing here and there, right? Uh,
Yes.
Single working mother. So, a lot of time on our hands. But yeah, he was always, fun to be around. And um, I don't know, we used to kind of hide, from each other and like see who could scare who first,
I love
hide
that.
around the corner and jump out at each other. So yeah, just that kind of stuff. And he liked kids and, um, yeah, I always think what a great uncle he would be right now.
Oh,
When
yeah.
of course, my kids are older, but I just thought he would have been just a hoot to have as an uncle. So, yeah,
Absolutely. Wait, so you said one of five. There are five of you.
right.
Wow. Okay, so where does he line up? Where do you line up in the order?
So he's actually the middle.
Okay.
I have had one brother older than me, then myself, Sarge, and then Donna and Stacy.
Wow.
So
And your
yeah.
mom, you said she was a single mom, so she had a lot going on.
Yeah, and her and my mom and my dad divorced when we were pretty young, and my dad lived in Oklahoma, and my mom, of course, here in South Bend. So yeah, yeah, she juggled a lot by herself for sure.
Yeah. And she still lives in South Bend, right?
Right. Hmm.
Okay. So, and she is still very involved. I know Lieutenant Miller was saying that she's been in contact with your mom about this case and where you
Hmm.
guys are today. And to my understanding, and I want to shift gears a little bit into talking about this case, when he went missing,
Hmm.
to my understanding, it's kind of now a plea of just tell us where his remains are at this point. Like you just want some closure, at least in that stance.
That's exactly right. My mom would not be happy about me saying this, but I guess she'll see it. But she's getting up there in age, and
Yeah.
of course, none of us knows how long we have, but you get to a certain point and you're not sure how much longer, you'll be here on this earth. And she just really wants to know. She, wants to be able to lay him to rest if at all possible. Um, and yeah, and I don't, for lack of a better way to put it, to move on. And, this is just it's just constant,
Yeah.
you're always wondering, you're always just waiting for that phone call. for someone, you're just waiting for that one person, which is all it takes to do the right thing. And I think some people would think, oh, it's been 35 years, you should be past it, but you can't, unless you're
No.
in this situation. Thankfully, you can't ever know what it feels like,
Right.
but there's no moving past it. It's,
No.
yeah. So one person, and, to just say what you've heard or what you know. I think sometimes people say, well, I heard this crazy story. Well, maybe it's not such a crazy story.
Right.
And your little tidbit could lead to something else and to something else and to that one thing that we need. So, yeah, I would just say it's never too late.
Yeah.
Come forward, say anything you know. Chances are the person that, well, I'll just say killed Sarge, because we obviously know he's gone. Chances are that person could have passed away by now too.
Right.
And we kind of hope that's not the case, because, you would want some justice, but
Right.
yeah, just say something,
Yeah.
pass it
And
on to
even,
somebody. Even if you're not comfortable doing it, tell someone else who is willing to come forward. So,
absolutely. And with Michiana Crime Stoppers being able to be anonymous, it's kind of a no-brainer here. Okay, so
right.
let's go through this case a little bit, because I do have some video that I want to kind of walk people through. So obviously we were looking at pictures. This is Sargent, 22 years old, when he decided, which is normal, that he's going to meet some friends. He's going to go out to the bar. You guys lived on Fox Street in South Bend. It was around 10 p.m. when he went out with some friends. He was heading to the corner of LaSalle and Niles, as you can see here. This all happened 10 p.m. May 4th, 1989. Again, you can see kind of this map of what's going on here and get some perspective of kind of how far they traveled. So LaSalle and Niles, if that sounds familiar, it's because of this establishment right here. This is where a place called Captain Cork's was sitting at. Obviously, today it's no longer there, but you can see Corby's in its spot. So that gives a little bit of familiarity to this area. So he spent some time there. What we know is that after that, he kind of crossed the bridge here off Colfax and went to this Michigan Street Colfax area. And I want to show you some video here too, because he went to an establishment in this area called the Bear's Den. And it's in the same area where you would find Wuchie and McCormick's today. Obviously, this is an old video because to my understanding, Veggie Buddies is no longer there, but you get the idea. And then what we're understanding is sometime around 3:30 in the morning, Sargent made a call to your mom from this location here. And it was in this time that what we don't know, what we know now, what we didn't know then, was that that would be the last time your mom and you guys would ever hear from Sargent again. Because after that, we don't know what happened. Through further investigation, we realized that foul play is believed to be involved in this case. And your family had held on for so long, hoping that that phone would ring and hoping that maybe he was just somewhere else, right? But that
Right.
hasn't happened. And from what I've learned from Lieutenant Miller, your mom refused to change her phone number in case he called.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's correct. And it was hard for her to move from that location as well. But she actually rented that home, and so I don't know if it was being sold or whatever. But then then she bought the home she's in now, and she's been there probably 25 years. So, but yeah, like I say, you're still waiting for a phone call, and I think, maybe the first week we thought, okay, he's mad,
Right,
or, did he find a girlfriend? You don't know.
right.
But he had a job, and so, when he didn't show up for work, of course that was suspicious, because that wasn't like him. He actually worked for our aunt and uncle, and then he also had an uncashed tax check at home. So when people were saying, "Oh, he's just left town," um, he had gotten into some trouble probably about 6 months before that, and so what he did is he broke into a gas station. Um, And so people thought, oh, he's running from that, but that had
Okay.
already been settled. He got probation because he, wasn't a criminal. So that had all been settled. There was no reason for him to go anywhere, and I feel like it took a long time for us to get that point across. No, he's not
Hmm.
running. There's nothing to run from.
Yeah.
So yeah, and yeah, that's really all we know. We have a few people who have who've seen him at both places that night, and yeah. So my mom had to get up for work. I don't know, probably 6 o'clock in the morning. She worked at a factory then, and she just said, "No, I'm not coming to get you tonight. Take a cab home, and I'll pay for it when you get here if you need money."
Yeah.
And that was it. So of course she's got that guilt that she can't move
Oh.
on from. Yeah. So.
But that's such a normal thing, right? As a parent, and you explain your mom, 5 kids, a single mom, hustling. You have work the next day. I mean,
Yeah.
I was talking to some people in the newsroom about this, and it's all like, yeah, we can relate to that. It's like you're grown, right? He's 22 years old. Find your way
Right.
home. I got work to do
Right.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that pains me to hear that your mom is living with that, but who wouldn't, right? And this is
Right.
what I've talked to Lieutenant Miller about too, is when you hear about these homicides or situations where someone has died, there's a different type of closure with that. It doesn't make it easier, but there's a different type of closure. When you have a disappearance, it's this daily longing for answers, for that phone call, for that knock on the door. It's this unknown. You have no idea what's happening, and that has to be something you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. That's horrible.
Yes. Any time I hear of a disappearance, I mean, my heart just breaks for that family because I know, and even though logic tells you that Sarge is gone and he's never coming back, sometimes you see somebody that looks like him and you still do a double take.
Oh,
I mean, I would say for at least 10 or 15 years, we literally still looked for him just walking down the street. What if he had amnesia, fell, hit his head,
yeah.
doesn't know who he is. So, like I said, that was probably 10 or 15 years of still just, you'd just be out driving around and looking just to make sure. But yeah, you're right. You wouldn't wish that on anyone. It's just, there's no cemetery to visit.
Right.
It's hard to even talk about him in the past tense because you really haven't had that final chapter. So I think, yeah, it's just really agonizing all the time.
There's so much that you've already lost. And on top of that, you don't even, like you said, have answers, have a place to go visit. That's just loss on top of
Yeah,
loss.
right. Exactly.
Wow. Okay. So again, around 10 p.m., May 4th, 1989, he went missing. I have hope with this case because Michiana Crime Stoppers was truly an infant at that time. Michiana Stoppers started in 1983. So there was obviously a lack of knowledge probably during that point. It takes years, right, for people to understand programs. Now it's 2024, and we keep hammering home this information that you see on the screen here. You can call, you can go online, you can text, you can use your smartphone, and you can submit an anonymous tip. Every single tip, 100% anonymous. We cannot reiterate that enough. You're going to get a little number when you submit a tip that only you know. Michiana Crime Stoppers doesn't know what that number is and who it's associated with. In fact, the only way that you can see if you got a reward is by logging back in and putting your number in to see if your anonymous tip led to the solving of a case or an arrest. So kind of like what you said, if you remember and you saw him at one of the bars, at two of the bars, lingering around after, any information, even if you already told authorities, it's going to be extremely helpful because we've gone through several investigators at this point. And so just anything is what you're saying. Just call up because you said it's only going to take that one tip.
Right. And so recently we've been working with Detective Martinsky, and he has just been amazing at looking into anything you give him. So that is important to know that there isn't anything that's not important at this point. Like I said before, you might know someone who knows someone, know someone who knows something, and so like I said, he's been really great at checking any of the leads that have come in, things like that. So we're very grateful for that.
Yeah, I wanna give you the floor too, and anything that you want to say to people watching. I know you've talked a lot about what this means to you and your mom and your family and all you guys have gone through the years. To encourage somebody to make that call, what would you say?
I would just say that I feel like it's the person that knows something probably already knows our family. And I would hope that you know us and that you would want to help us. And maybe you've been scared over the years to come forward. People change over time. Maybe you've experienced your own loss and now can see what effect this has had. So, but if not, just try to imagine that it were your brother, your sister, your cousin. If somebody that you love just disappeared and there was someone out there that had a little piece of information that could help that family move on or help you move on, you would want them to do the right thing. And that's what we want. Just please do the right thing and just say what you know. What I said before is, people get older. So if the person who hurt Sarge, was around his age at the time or maybe a little older, I don't know anymore. I feel like I wouldn't be afraid of that person anymore, or maybe even that person has passed on. We don't know, but yeah, it's just never too late to do the right thing, and that's really, I think, the important message is it's not too late because we live with this every day, and if you can help us, it would be amazing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Again, I can't even imagine what your families going through. As you said, you don't get over it, but some closure, some space that you can go to honor him and see him and just have that moment, especially you said before, your family and other people get older and I'm just thinking about your mom and I'm a new mom myself and I can't imagine what that is, but I'm so happy that we have Michiana Crime Stoppers. And so please, any anonymous tip, I thank you so much. Again, I know you're so busy and I know you moved a lot of things around for us today. And it's really nice to meet you and to be able to see you in person. I've seen you on the Michiana Crime Stoppers commercials, but just to have somebody come forward and be able to speak about these cases, I think is really brave. So thank you for doing that. And I hope that this really just touches the person that has the information and changes it. Because you said this could happen to anybody. This could be you. This could be your family member. Right. Heaven forbid something like this happens to you and you have to live in this looking for answers for so many years.
Yeah. Well, and again, thank you so much for doing this segment and for inviting me today. And just happy to keep his name and face out there and hopefully get some answers for us.
Well, we will keep doing our part. I know Lieutenant Miller will be as well. And hopefully in a short time, we'll be able to come forward with some happy news. Happy in the sense that we have some news that someone's come forward. Right. Obviously, no news is going to be happy, but at least in the sense of giving your family a little bit of closure. But hopefully that someone will do the right thing. So
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really,
Oh,
really appreciate your time. And
thank
please,
you.
please give your best to our mom, your mom too, because seeing her on there looking for answers too is really touching, and we're thinking about her too.
All right. I will. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
You're
All
very
right.
welcome.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you so much. Alrighty.